David's testimony moves from private experience to public declaration. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips, O Lord, thou knowest. Psalm 40, verse 9. The word preached means proclaimed or announced. This is not a casual conversation. David makes a formal declaration of God's righteousness. The phrase, in the great congregation, specifies the location. David speaks before the assembled people of Israel. The word congregation refers to the gathered community of God's people. This is public worship, not private devotion. David's witness reaches many ears. The expression, "Lo, I have not refrained my lips," emphasizes his boldness. Refrained means held back or restrained. David did not silence himself. He did not hide what God had done. The phrase, "O Lord, thou knowest," appeals to God as witness. God sees David's faithfulness in speaking. This is not boasting but a statement of fact before the one who knows all things. This verse reveals a pattern for believers. God delivers, and his people declare his works. Silence after salvation dishonors God. What God does in private should be proclaimed in public. The congregation needs to hear testimonies of God's faithfulness. These declarations strengthen faith and encourage others. Verse 10 continues this theme. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. Psalm 40, verse 10. The word hid means concealed or kept secret. David did not bury God's blessings inside himself. The phrase, "within my heart," shows where the truth lives, but David refuses to keep it there. The parallel structure reinforces this point. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation uses a different verb. Declared means made known or told. David spreads God's message. The objects of his declaration are God's faithfulness and salvation. The Lord's faithfulness refers to his reliability and loyalty. God's salvation refers to his deliverance and rescue. Both truths deserve proclamation. The final clause repeats the pattern. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. The word concealed means hidden. David did not cover up God's character. Loving kindness means covenant love and mercy. Truth refers to God's reliability and trustworthiness. These attributes belong to the public record, not private knowledge. The repetition of the great congregation frames both verses. David's audience remains consistent. He speaks to God's people, gathered for worship. This is the proper setting for testimony. The prophet Jeremiah illustrates this principle. God called Jeremiah to speak harsh messages to Judah. The people rejected his words and persecuted him. Yet Jeremiah could not remain silent. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in mine heart, as a burning fire, shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. Jeremiah 20, verse 9. God's word demanded expression. Jeremiah tried to hold it back, but failed. The message burned within him until he spoke. David experienced this same compulsion. God's righteousness, faithfulness, and loving kindness could not remain hidden. The great congregation needed to hear. This passage challenges contemporary believers. Testimonies of God's work belongs in corporate worship. Individual Christians should speak of what God has done. The church gathers not only to hear preaching, but to share experiences of God's faithfulness. Silent Christians rob the congregation of encouragement. David models this public witness. He declares God's character and works, and he does not hold back. David's testimony glorifies God and strengthens his people.